What's up guys, Brando here again, going through my January pickups. I got about 30 games here to go through, so we're going to try and get through it as quick as we can to keep the number on this video down so we don't kind of get too long-winded. So let's just get right down to it. Okay, so we're going to start off first with my lone PC pickup. I don't really collect PC games or anything like that, but I saw this at my local Goodwill, and I like to go to Goodwills, you know, every now and again, get some pretty cool stuff in there. And I found Duke Nukem 3D for like $2, and I remember playing this way back when it came out on like a buddy's computer or something. And I'm not really big into first-person shooters, but you gotta love Duke, and I definitely do. And for $2, who can say no to the Duke, right? And I got a nice stack of PS1 games, bringing up my total PS1 games now to 99, I do believe. Some of these, I used to own one of these here, and some of the other ones I have played, but I never did play this one, Star Wars Demolition. It's from the makers of, what was it, Vigilante 8, those kind of like those games that were kind of like Twisted Metal. And, but I definitely remember this and seeing ads, like in GamePro or whatever, but never ended up picking it up. I played it, and it's definitely different. But it's like one of those games that I kind of want to get to play with other people to try and figure it out together and have a good time with it. This one I did actually used to own. I don't know what happened to it, but it's Soviet Strike. And I remember loving this game when I was a kid. Going back to it, it doesn't really hold up as well, especially all those kind of like real-time videos. They did a lot of that in the early days of the PlayStation, where they would actually film like with real actors. And I remember seeing one of those actors in like some Nickelodeon show, so you know, so they weren't actually like real big time actors or anything like that, so obviously it wasn't that great. But you know, I did get the Greatest Hits version. I really have stopped caring whether I get Greatest Hits or Black Label. I used to have it with Black Label, but you know, good game. I believe they made a sequel, Nuclear Strike or something like that. I think that was on a 64 as well. But yeah, not bad. And when all these games, all the following PS1 games, I got for really cheap. Definitely had to pick this one up, especially for like a couple bucks. GTA 2. And these old style GTAs of course have like that top down God view, you know what I mean? So they're definitely kind of difficult to play, but I was very surprised kind of going into it when I was trying it out that it wasn't really that difficult as I remember it being. So I was able, the only thing I didn't like is I wasn't really able to tell exactly where I was going. You know, they had like this little like things, little like arrows that tell you, you know, if you go over here, maybe you'll get to this job. If you go in this direction, you'll get to that one. But that's the one like downside to being like kind of a top down, is that you don't really know what's in front of you. But definitely cool to pick this up. I'm gonna have to pick up the other two, I believe that there are. There's one, and then I think there's one in London. This is a game that I remember seeing a lot of. Especially like in magazines and ads and everything when I was a kid, but I never played it. It's called One, and I definitely remember seeing videos of this when I first started collecting, and I just remember the name, and it kind of had that like that barcode. Like nowadays, that kind of makes me think of like Hitman. Oh yeah, they have you like running down like this corridor, and everything's like destroying all around you, and you're getting shot at and whatnot. Definitely remember seeing this like at a Hollywood Video or something when I went to go rent early PS1 games. This one, I actually have the first three, so I saw it, and I wasn't actually going to be on my radar because I remember playing it and wasn't too impressed with it when I was a kid, because I absolutely loved the third one. It's Need for Speed High Stakes, but I saw it for like a couple bucks, picked it up. The one thing that I have to say about this is that when I think of old school Need for Speed games, I want to jump in and I want to go and I want to play. This one, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. It's like you have to like start and like earning your cars, which I know that's like the norm for now, but come on, man, this is arcade, man. I just want to get in and go. So I don't know if there's another way, if there's cheat codes to get around that, or what, I don't know, but I kind of wish that it was a little bit more accessible for just putting in and just kind of going. These next two games are definitely accessible though. Cool Borders 2 and 4, which are totally random pickups here. These were like $1 a piece. I definitely remember these games. These games were awesome. I'm gonna have to pick up 1 and 3 because having 2 and 4 is just kind of weird on the shelf. I got another Star Wars game, Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. Now, I heard a little bit about this and heard that this was actually a pretty decent game. Playing it, maybe it was just the fact that it's my first impressions, I wasn't too impressed with it. It was sort of generic. Maybe it's better with multiplayer. I'll have to try that out when, when Rob comes over or something. Moving on to some more PlayStation stuff. I got kind of this decent stack of Vita games here from a coworker, and I got Uncharted Golden Abyss. Now, I got this when it was free on the Vita. It might still be free. I don't know if they're still doing that instant game collection thing or not. But when I got my Vita, I got Plus and got this right away. Because I love the Uncharted games, and this is amazing on the Vita. A couple more here. I got a game called Freedom Wars, which I do remember trying this out. I do remember it was like very heavily Japanese. It's like, all the voices were in Japanese. And I didn't see anywhere where you can change it. It's very heavily stylized, and I think I probably spent like 15 minutes in the creative character, so I really didn't get too far into it as far as the actual gameplay goes. You see, it does seem like a pretty interesting game to kind of dive into, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. I got the Sly Cooper collection, all 3 games. The interesting point is, and I think Final Fantasy HD collection was like this as well, only 2 of the games are actually on the little card here, and the 3rd one is a download code, which is very interesting. I'm not sure how much I like that. The thing is that when I bought this from the coworker, the 3rd game has not been redeemed. So I'm getting it basically brand new code there. But I do get all 3 games for it. And I know that Final Fantasy X, 10 is a physical, and it's on the card, and 10-2 is also a download. These next 2, she bought them used. So they were like in their little kind of GameStop generic black cases, but I did print labels for them. They're not the best looking, but when you just kind of look at them on the shelf like that or anything like that, they look decent enough and you can tell what games they are. I would like to get actual like blue cases, which you can order on eBay or whatever for them, but these are Killzone Mercenary and Soul Sacrifice, both really great games for the Vita. For Killzone, I was very surprised just to see how well it worked and how well it played for a first-person shooter, and for Soul Sacrifice, this one I believe was also free, but I never did get a chance to play it. So I was really happy to see that when she was offering kind of a bundle, that Soul Sacrifice was indeed in there. Moving on with other PlayStation kind of hits here, I'll start with this one. This one I do remember renting and playing. It's a kind of a polarizing series. Some people like Symmetry, some people don't. And they did revamp it just a few years ago, but that's the original Devil May Cry. And again, I think I got this when I got the PS1 stuff, and it was pretty much like $2 or something like that. Couldn't say no to that. You know, I'm trying to build a collection, and the Devil May Cry games are games you just have to have for the PS2. And this one is also another one I feel like you must own, because I actually own the sequel, or the spiritual sequel, if you will, but it's the Mark of Cree. And this game, just like the sequel, I never did play it before I ended up buying it, but I heard a lot about it. And I definitely liked the intriguing gameplay elements in this. I really liked how they mapped the buttons for the combat system, and I'm really looking forward to diving into that. And I got Onimusha 2, which is cool because it kind of completes my trilogy. I want to say there might be one more, but I'm not for certain. I really do dig this series a lot, and I'm really looking forward to like just sitting down and playing all 3 of them all the way through. I've gotten some decent time into the first one, but I've been bouncing back and forth between so many games that I just haven't had a time to really beat it or anything like that. This next one was, I got this off the recommendation of Metal Jesus Rocks right here on YouTube, and that is Okage Shadow King, which is kind of funny because I'm saying it like that because that's the way he said it, or that's the way I've heard other people say it. But the guy at the game store, he's like Okage. I'm not sure if you'd ever heard of it, but this is very interesting. It's like an RPG, and it is exclusive to the PS2. It's one of those like bluebacks, like those little compact discs that they were still using for some of these games. And this game had me laughing. It really did. I really liked how it was presented in a very serious manner, but the threat really wasn't that serious. And your main character ends up binding his shadow with Stan, this little Shadow King guy. And his sister is cursed with a Pig Latin curse that another ghost put on her, and she could speak only in Pig Latin. And that was just cracking me up. And the dad is freaking out, and the grandfather was trying to like, this isn't as bad as it's supposed to be. So I'm freaking out, but it was really cool, and something that when I was testing it out, I did not want to put it down. The last of my PlayStation pickups, nothing really special, but I did not own one. I lost mine. That's an original DualShock, and now I've been wanting to get one of these because I kind of want to do like a a PlayStation Collection video where I showcase my entire PlayStation collection and my systems, and you know, I've showed you some of these games, but I really would just want to go through like my entire collection, tell you what some of my favorites are, and I feel like this is a must-have if you have a PS1. You gotta have a DualShock. I would like to get an analog. They had like a dual analog right before they released those. Let's go with the NES games I got. And I'm just gonna go through these real quick. Metroid. I mean, come on. The original Metroid. Gotta have that in your NES collection. It's pretty good, but I would have to say that like going back to it now, especially when you have like Metroid, Super Metroid or Metroid Fusion, this one definitely suffers a little bit. But it's still pretty good to go back to. And of course, I'm a huge RPG nut. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and I had to get the original Final Fantasy. Although I already have it on PS1, I had to get the original cart just for you know, collector's sake. Pretty neat. Let's go with the. I got this from a buddy, Matt. He's been on the podcast before, and this is the Grand Theft Auto trilogy on the Xbox. I actually have it on PS2, but he had this for Xbox and made a little bit of a trade for it. So definitely, I have these, and it has all of the manuals and maps and everything still in there, ready to go. It even still has the little Xbox sticker certificate thing down there. So I'm gonna move on to the 360 here, and I ended up getting Duke Nukem 3D, but I also got Duke Nukem Forever. These games were in the pretty much cheap as you could get bin at GameStop, and I was walking by it, and I spent $12 for like all of these. Duke Nukem Forever. I remember when this came out. This game was in development hell for like a long time, and when this came out, people were kind of disappointed. They were expecting like a big blow-away first-person shooter. It's a Duke game. If you like Duke Nukem, you'll like this. And I guess people were just expecting a little too much from it, but I played it and I liked it. Really good game. This one was a game that I've been wanting to check out for a while from Capcom, Lost Planet. It's this game where you're like in this mech and you're going around, and it's kind of like a third-person shooter, but it doesn't really quite have all the mechanics yet. It's still kind of stiff. It feels very, I don't want to say action RPG-ish. It kind of is a little bit. I don't know. It's not quite exactly what you're thinking when you're thinking of a fluid third-person shooter. Mech game at least, but it's very interesting, and I kind of want to see where it goes. There are some other ones out there, so I'll have to pick those up. This one is definitely a must-have for the 360. Fable 2. I got the first Fable on the original Xbox. I don't have Fable 3, not yet, but come on. It's one of those games where if you're collecting and then you look at it and they'll say, well, where's Fable? Where's Fable 2? Well, I don't have it yet. Well, why not? And for like a couple bucks, it's like, why not, right? I need to have it. This next one is from the makers of Hitman. Our good friends here at was it IO Interactive. Kane Lynch, Deadman. Interesting game here. They kind of like, it kind of feels similar to Hitman, a little bit different though, and it has kind of an interesting start to it. Pretty cool narrative. Looking forward to diving into this and getting through this. There was a second one which I heard was really short. Maybe I'll have to get that just to complete these. Now for these last few, for the Wii, I picked up Manhunt 2, which I love the first Manhunt, and I remember borrowing this from my good co-host here at Journey into Comics podcast, Nate. He let me borrow this, and he let me borrow the little, like, it had a special Wiimote strap that kind of looked like a hospital wristband that you get when you go there. And he let me borrow that as well. And I'll be honest with you, at the time I just could not get into it. I kind of felt like it was a little too edited. They edited a lot, like some of the harsher kills and everything. But now, many years later, kind of coming back to it, I had to pick it up, and when I've seen it for the PS2, but I really wanted to get it for the Wii, simply because it was kind of controversial with how you had to like do all these motions with the with the nunchuck and the Wiimote. People thought that it was like recreating the actions or whatever. So yeah, it's not really as bad as people think, but had to get it for the Wii. Moving on to the 64, I got pretty much the essential games you need to get for the 64, minus a few. Star Fox 64, that made me come on. This is like a one and done deal. I saw this for pretty cheap, had to pick it up. Now this next one, though, I found it in a store, and surprisingly I did not own it at all for the 64, and that's Super Mario 64, complete in box, because it's got the manual, it's got everything in here. The box is in pretty damn good condition. There's a few other ones there. They only had Majora's Mask, they had Paper Mario, and Kirby, Crystal Shards. So, but this one was like, it wasn't the cheapest one of them all, but it was one of those where I was looking at them and I thought about getting one of them, and this one jumped out at me from a collecting standpoint. This one was probably in the best condition box-wise, and once I asked to see it, and you know, he opened it up here, and then you know, he kind of looked inside, and the cartridge is, I don't know how good you guys can see it, but it's still wrapped in plastic. And if you open up from the other side, you can actually get the cartridge out, and the plastic isn't taped or anything like that, so it definitely could have been opened and played, but it's very well taken care of. Very damn good condition, but it is the player's choice million seller, so it is the re-release. It's not the original box, but just to have it as a showpiece, and to have this game, if at all, for the 64, which you need. You know, it's very good to have this. Very good to have it in box. Very happy to have that. And I'm not gonna turn into some collector that needs to have a box for every single game they own. Like, I don't really need it for Star Fox. If I come across it cheap, very cheap, I'm not gonna overpay for anything like that. But if I find it and it's a good enough condition and I don't already own it, I'll definitely probably pick it up. Well guys, that's my pickup video for January. I've got a big game hunt coming up, and that's probably going to be my final hurrah. I know I've been saying that here, whereas, you know, I've been saying each video might be my last big one, but I think this one is definitely going to be, this next one for February, it's definitely going to be the last big one. Maybe we'll get some small stuff and then I'll let it accumulate and then do a video. I definitely have some other videos in mind, like I said, the PlayStation kind of overview collection thing. I've got 99 games now, so once I get over 100, maybe I'll do that and kind of show you a bunch of games with a bunch of my favorites and going forward with that. So until then, I guess I'll see you later. Check us out for Journey to Comics Podcast. You know, me and Nate putting out a new episode every week, and we're also on Facebook. We're on Twitter now at GIC Podcast. We are on Instagram posting pictures of our collections, comics, video games, you name it, man. So check us out on all those mediums. If you guys like the video, there's more to come. There's more on the channel. Hopefully Nate can start making some videos soon. I hope he does. I'm really anxious to see exactly his video style and some of his collection. So guys, till then, I'm Brando and I'll see you later.